Hey everybody, it's Harrison with Evolution and the Matea Group. We kicked off the 90 and 90 this week, and we talked about some of the keys to lead generation and ongoing lead generation and being able to be successful in not only a 90-day sprint, but also the marathon that this business can be. And one of those keys is having a way to engage your database. And that comes in many forms. There are many people that really like to make outbound calls, maybe send cards. One of the ways we really like to do, in addition to those other ones, is with a newsletter. Newsletters can be very simple. They can be a great tool to drive engagement, get people to interact with you, and also just be able to share some information, share what's going on, which we all know, based on the success of HGTV, people just love to know what's going on in real estate. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk you through our newsletter, give you an idea of what we use, show you some examples of ways you can utilize this for both information sharing, but also potentially monetization and working with vendors and sponsors, as well as share some metrics behind our newsletter to show why we think this is such a powerful medium and why it's really just a fun way to interact. So we're going to look first at our newsletter. So we send a monthly newsletter out. It doesn't go to necessarily everybody. It goes to past clients and people on our database we have good relationships with. We don't just blanket everybody with it. And the reason for that is if you just send it to everybody, you tend to get more unsubscribes, and then you potentially have the risk of being viewed by the email carriers as junk. And we don't want that. So we try to curate that list a little bit to find people we actually think would enjoy getting it. Not that it's a small list that way, but we definitely pared it down so it's not going to just everybody and running the risk of it looking like junk. So here's our December edition, our December newsletter. Ours is branded a little bit more broadly. It's just the Matea Group newsletter. For those of you that may be a solo agent or a small team that's very focused on a market, people don't necessarily love to get something called a newsletter, but they would love to get something that is the Portland Times or something community news or something a little bit more branded to maybe your area if you're in a tighter geography. Where we're a high volume, larger group, we cover a very large segment of Maine, almost all of it, and also a little bit of New Hampshire. So we have to be a little bit more broad on how we brand it. But for those of you that are smaller, it's a good opportunity to get it focused really on the community and giving them community news versus just a newsletter. Secondly, so we did a giveaway around Christmas time. So you had a chance to win $500 gift card to Sunday River, one of the more popular ski attractions in the area. There's information here about how to call and text to win, call to win, things like that. You can do giveaways, but you can also just offer a $5 gift card or a $20 gift card to a local restaurant or coffee shop, and maybe in exchange for people going and doing a Google review or filling out a form and giving you their latest contact information to make sure your database is up to date. So this is a good way to get people to click and engage, which also helps email providers realize that your newsletter is high content, and get them to do something and interact with you in some way that maybe offers them a small giveaway. And then we get into kind of updates on us and the programs we're in. We do a monthly charitable program called Matea Gives. $100 per transaction for the closings that month go to a local nonprofit. So we do a nice feature with them. To those of you in networking, this is a great way to give back to your community, but also a great way to network with local nonprofits. You're sharing their information on social and in your newsletter, which means they're also sharing your information on social, and maybe even sharing your newsletter, which is a great way to touch other audiences. So if you don't do a charitable program, no problem. Use this as a way to network and maybe feature a local business or feature a local nonprofit or feature something that's important to you as a great way to network, but also bring some value to your newsletter so it's not all about you. We love to do the recipes, something seasonal that makes sense. This one's looking at holiday hot cocoa on a stick. You can do anything here. Another good opportunity to network is to go find maybe some of your local businesses that maybe sell an item and feature it here. So maybe it's not a recipe, maybe it's a local item, maybe it's an attraction. Again, use sections like this to be able to network and provide value to the people reading your newsletter. Next section is we actually give a property tip. So we have an ancillary business, a property management company by the name of Guardian Properties. So in that, we also provide a chance to interact with our other businesses inside of our newsletter and share a property tip. So this is looking at, keeping your driveway ice-free, which we're in Maine, that's a big deal. But in whatever market you're in, there's certainly seasonal things people can be doing or thinking about to help them maintain their property and get through the season. We feature a property. We love to pick one of our listings and feature it here, some photos, a write-up, and again, a nice call to action to get people to come in and actually look at the listing, come onto our website. In some cases, maybe they opt in. In some cases, maybe they end up being the buyer for it. We have had clients come in off the newsletter that were attracted by a listing or information that we had that turned them into a client. Not necessarily trying to use this as a way to necessarily sell the property, but just to continue to show people what's out there and see who's interested. Next, we have the lending corner. So our preferred lender is the Corey Scott team of Annie Mac Home Mortgage. They cover all of New England and Florida. And we provide a little tip or some information from the Corey Scott team as a great way to continue to add more value and put more content in the newsletter to give the people reading it, actual news, but also is a great way to help our network connect with Corey. And this is also one of the ways that we monetize our newsletter. We do feature some of our vendors in the newsletter. You'll see more below too. And we have MSAs with them, and that's part of it. So, the cost of sending out the newsletter, we've more than offset with MSAs we have because we feature vendors in the newsletter. As you get your numbers up, you're going to have vendors that are much more interested in maybe sponsoring, or maybe for a month they want to sponsor, maybe for the whole year they want to sponsor. But if you can feature them here, it's a great way to get them exposure, which is worth something to them to be exposed to your database. Client testimonial. This serves two purposes. One, our agents love to see themselves in the newsletter, but two, our clients also love to see them in the newsletter. We all love being seen. We all love the shout outs and the highlights. This is a great way to do that. Alex is a tremendous agent on our team. He got a great review here. We want to make sure we share with people the fact that we deliver a great experience. Alex is a great agent. And oh, by the way, our clients are engaged. Lastly, a happy new year. And then finally, we have another sponsor, a settlement company, a title company up here that's a sponsor with us, that we have, basically sponsoring or bringing us the letter. So it's a great way to feature them as well. Again, getting into the monetization component. If you have vendors you're close to and you've got a good size list you're sending to, get them engaged so that they participate with you. And ultimately, if nothing else, it helps cover the cost and defray that cost to you by getting them into it and exposed to your database. Win-win for everybody, as well as local businesses who you can feature inside the newsletter to get them some more exposure. So, what are the numbers to this? What are the metrics to this newsletter? So, over the last 7 months, on average, we sent it to about 4,310 people. Our database is almost 20,000 people, so like I said, it's not going to everybody. It's going to past clients, referral sources, our closer sphere, kind of those A and B people in our sphere. We're not just sending it to everybody because we don't want high unsubscribes, because then it gets flagged as junk. But we get an open rate of almost 40%, 39% and change. It kind of hovers around that 39 to 41 range. And that's a big deal because on average, we're getting almost 1,700 views of this newsletter every month. 1,700 people are at least opening it to see what's going on. And then we're getting about a 1 to 2% click rate. People are clicking on things either for more information, to check out the listing, to check out a vendor. So again, now you're getting you're getting 40 to 80 people that are actually clicking on things. But again, 40 to 80 potential leads for you, a lender, a title company, a property management company. That's a lot of leads. The number seems small, but the industry average on opens is less than 20% and the clicks is less than 1%. So, our numbers have certainly gone up over the last year or two as we've kind of fine-tuned this newsletter. But ultimately, you're getting in front of people with information that they want, delivered in a way that's not frictional, because you're not cold calling them or randomly sending them something. It's in their inbox, they can check it or not. Our unsubscribes still remain low, and then the bounces, those are bad email addresses. We're constantly cleaning this. As we're adding people, we're taking people off as we find bad email addresses, things like that. That happens. But ultimately, we're getting almost 1,700 views a month on a newsletter that takes us not a lot of time to put together, because some of the content's coming from vendors. It's coming from Guardian Properties, from Corey Scott. For you, it could be coming from a local business and other sort of sources of that. So you don't have to necessarily write the whole thing, but you're delivering good content in a way that doesn't cause friction, that gets people engaged. And for us, it's been a huge difference maker to us. We've done over 200 pieces of business each year over the last 3 years from our database, and a lot of it comes from people just remaining engaged with us through the newsletter. So if you're not doing a newsletter, I would highly recommend you look at doing a newsletter. Start simple, get other people involved, use it as a great networking tool, keep your database engaged, and you'll find that the referrals continue to come because people continue to pay attention and engage with your information. Hope that helps.